all I'm doing is sending up a red flag that says that means something. And if we can brand various groups as hate groups based on their speech patterns and the kinds of things they can instigate, why is it people shy away from looking at Black Lives Matter and saying these people are clearly instigating hate? Now, you don't move to intervene in their ability to express themselves, but it certainly can inform the way we view them. And I was really disheartened to see that Hillary Clinton gave a shout out to the Black Lives Matter folks after those two other gentlemen in Louisiana and Minnesota were shot under very bizarre circumstances by the police. So there's a lot going on here to chew on, including maybe a lack of leadership at the very top of our nation. Thank God we haven't heard from Donald Trump yet. Who knows what this guy will be saying.
Yeah, and I agree everything with Joe. The problem here is that, these organizations like Black Lives, they lose their credibility. This is the same organization that was looking for police.
That was a cheap shot at Donald Trump.
Shot at officers. They were running in droves, and guess who protected them? The same officers who they were criticizing. So, to me, the Black Lives Matter group has a serious problem with credibility, and also, as a civil rights attorney, I love their First Amendment rights, but boy, they're being compromised by this extreme hatred on one side of cops, and yet everyone listening to KBC know we need police officers because they serve a very viable function in society.
Well, Joe Hicks is joining us on the telephone, Vice President of Community Advocates, Inc. Joe and Leo both. I'm really curious to get your take on this. I was on the telephone yesterday with Dr. Clarence B. Jones. He was Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s personal attorney, a draft speechwriter, close friend, and he was telling me, this was, of course, before the murders last night in Dallas, and he was telling me that he's fed up with the police killing of black men, and he was cautioning, he said, look, this very well could lead to violent acts. And it wasn't a few hours later we had these murders. So traditional civil rights leaders from the 60s, before I was born, he was saying this, enough is enough. We've hit the end of this. He's not, part and parcel of the Black Lives Matter movement, and he is seeing this happening. What is your take on that?
Well, there's once you unleash into the public discourse things that are patently untrue, it's hard to unring that bell. I'll give example of what I'm talking about. Rhetoric can be very powerful if it is injected into the public discourse and it isn't pushed back on in terms of data, research, other kinds of things. Now, we've all heard this rhetorical kind of approach that says, every day, black men just get shot down by the cops, and it's just out of control. And we hear that all the time. I was reading some research by a guy named, look at it here, Peter Moskos, who's professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice back in New York. So he looked at this question, are black men being shot down more often on a rhetorical daily basis? And he found out that's simply not so. He said that roughly 49% of individuals killed by police between May of 2013 and April of 2015 were white, while 30% were black. Now, they're still disproportionate to their population, by the way.
Yes,
we don't need to get too happy because black folks are only like 13% of the American population. So, yes, proportionate to their population, more black men are getting killed, but not in an overall sense in terms of just what the data shows. Now, how do we explain that? Well, there's a lot of ways to explain that, and I'll defer to Leo because I think he wants to get in on this as well.
Well, let me give you a perfect example because I as a civil rights attorney, I'm going to call it like I see it when it comes to issues where there is excessive use of force. But let's talk about Ferguson, the Michael Brown case.
Michael Brown
there's a myth out there that Michael Brown had his hands up and the shooting was unjustified. Let me be the first person to tell everybody the truth if you haven't heard it. That shooting was justified, unfortunately. It was a justified shooting, but yet there's people out there promoted the concept that Michael Brown was unlawfully shot. He had his hands up. You look at the autopsy report, you look at all the evidence, the fact that the Department of Justice did not go after that case, it tells you something. So when Black Lives says that every shooting is a bad shooting, the credibility is lost, and it inflames people, and you had what you had last night in Dallas.
And I hope no one hearing my voice will think I'm excusing police abuse or police brutality when it happens. It does happen. I mean, you know,
yes,
we
it
recruit.
It does happen.
It does, and we recruit police from the general population. And you get some folks in there that love the fact that they got a badge and a gun. They can exercise control over where you go, what you do. They can put handcuffs in you, put you in a car, take you to jail. They can do all that. Some people, that's a power rush for some weak-minded folks that may have some pathologies that we don't, that somehow squeak through in the academy process. But you know, this notion though that we hear. That all police or most police, or even from the Black Lives Matter perspective, all white cops and perhaps even all cops are doing black folks bad is, again, a slanderous kind of thing on the good men and women in uniform all across this country. They are as eager as anybody, once they find a bad cop, to weed them out and get them the hell out of the force, because it does them no good. Who wants to have a partner who has this kind of pathology about anybody, women, gay people, black people? That doesn't make a very good partner for you if you're out there in the field doing law enforcement work. So, you know, these last two shootings, again, based on just preliminary kind of stuff we're seeing, I think me and Leo would line up and say, listen, if this works out the way it looks, these are both dirty shootings, and if that's the case, these guys need to get thrown under the jail.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
So what's the response, though, Joe, when, you know, people are arguing, look, it doesn't matter, you know, what the statistics are, because the perception is one way. You know, so I've gotten in this discussion time and time again, Joe. Literally, it's, hey, yeah, the statistics say, look, only this many people got shot and killed wrongfully by cops, but the perception in a large amount of the community is something other, and doesn't perception matter more than facts?
Okay, before Joe comments, let me simply say this. I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room. There are people in this country who make a name for themselves playing the race card.
Yes.
I don't want to mention any names like Al Sharpton. I don't want to mention any names like Jesse Jackson, but they come out front and center. They have never been elected the president of the black community, and they're out front and center and making indictments automatically without the facts. And that's the problem. That's why this happens. Go ahead, Joe.
You're right on the mark. There have been a lot of people in this country that have made good livings off of playing the racial victimization card and making themselves relevant by preaching to black people over and over again, you are victims.
Yes.
The white man is the reason everything that you can think of in your community that's wrong is because there's the white man, or there's racism, or there are racists. Well, yes, there are racists, and yes, there is racism. How do we then put that in perspective that people can feel empowered and go on to be successful in their lives? And that's really part of the problem. Now, see, this is where things get really touchy-feely. I don't care how you perceive the world. You can perceive the sky is pink, or you can think elephants are little. I don't care how you perceive the world. I deal in the world of reality.
Yes.
So we get all touchy-feely, or this other whole thing where I feel that black people, you know, feelings again. I don't deal in the world of feelings except my family and those that I love. So, you know, that's the problem. People want to sort of just get all squishy and mushy about, oh, well, I perceive that black people are being victimized by cops. Well, what if that's wrong? And if that's wrong, look at the damage that does. Look at the schism that now exists between law enforcement agencies all throughout this nation and black communities, because black people perceive the cops as being their enemy. Why wouldn't they? If they've been told for 20 years, even from mother's milk, watch out for them cops, boy. Them cops will do you bad every time. So that puts in these young people's minds that cops are not somebody you can rely on. Cops are not the people you go to if you need help. Cops are not who you call if your friend gets shot at the park by one of these thugs. Oh yeah, that's, I said that word, thug. Sorry, they're thugs. And they come in all skin colored, by the way.
So, Joe, what do you know, when we look at this situation between the potentially two bad cop shootings of black men in Louisiana, Minnesota, and the murder of the police officers last night in Dallas, Texas, what do you see as the next step for us to try and, move forward and get past this and get past some of these bad ideas that are out there?
Well, it's tough because the problem is this notion of police as being evil, as being racist, as being always looking, if you look in the rear view mirror and you see a police car, it's trouble there, and sometimes it may be, but I think it has become now a cultural component of our urban cities. So that makes it very difficult. If you are a young person in St. Louis, and that's the way you see the world, because it's part of the cultural armor you put on the morning when you walk out the door. And going back to what Leo was saying, we need new, fresh, young leadership that sings from a different hymn book here, that talks to young people in a different way and leads them away from this victimization rant that is so much a part of the narrative that black people tell about themselves. Now think of it. Black people have been telling the same story about themselves since slavery and Jim Crow, when it was true. It was true. There was a point when black people really were victims in this country. Couldn't vote. They drained the damn pool, the city pool, before they would let black people swim in it. After that, they drained it again. You couldn't eat food at the same places other people did. We know that whole story. So yes. But here it is, 2016. Loretta Lynch, a black woman, is Attorney General. There's a black man, I think his name just might be Barack Obama, president. Successive Attorney Generals have been black. The heads of major corporations are black. Go down the list of what black people have not achieved in America. That'd be a very short list.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Joe Hicks, Vice President of Community Advocates, Inc. Joe, look, great to talk to you. This is my first time talking to you, and I'm looking forward to the next time.
Joe's a great man. Thanks, Joe.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, listen, Leo, we still got to do that dinner, bro.
Sounds good. Like a plan.
Thanks so
very
much.
much.
We'll do.
All right.
Thanks, Joe. Really appreciate that. This is The Drive Home with Julian.